How are all the players looking ahead of tomorrow?
They're all looking good. Kyle's about 6'4" and dark hair and lovely face. No, they're looking fine. Alison, to be fair, they're recovered well, trained well, as I'd expect them to, because irrespective of the result, it was another good performance. And unfortunately, we lost the penalties, so we can take a lot of positives from the other night into these last three league games.
Speaking to Chris there, and he was saying that the best approach that the players have got to have is not to get caught up in the hype and the pressure and just to take things as it comes. Do you go along with that?
Yeah, because that's what we've been trying to do from day one since we come in. The players don't need told on a daily or regular basis that the situation they're in, they're fully aware of it. And, the fact you don't want a manager or coaching staff to be going on about it every minute of the day. The players realise that, and ultimately they know what they need to do in the last three games to stay up. So it's not something that we sit and have meeting after meeting about. In fact, we don't. We almost go the other way and just get on with the job of trying to win the next football match.
Is the fact that it's essentially in your hands because of your league position, does that make it easier? You know what you need to do. You're not looking for MD else to do anything.
Yeah, because that was an important position to get us into with 3 games to go, because it means that every win, every point, they have to better it. So that games run out then for the other 2, and that's another reason why you just have to concentrate on yourself. Obviously, after the game, we'll find out quickly how the other teams did, and we know if we've increased the gap or the gap stayed the same. But I say our aim is to. I think we can get a couple of wins. It would make it extremely difficult. A couple of wins would mean that Hamilton can't catch us, and a couple of wins would mean that Ross County would have to win all 3 games, which is going to be difficult to do at this stage of the season. So, but our aim is only to concentrate in the next game and win it.
Tommy, can I just confirm, will Kyle Lafferty be fit for the weekend, do you think?
No.
You mentioned there about
but he
obviously...
will be fit for St Mirren, which is a positive for us.
Great, thank you. You mentioned there obviously the other teams are in action at the same time. Do you keep across what's going on in the games of Ross County and Hamilton, or is it all just focused on what you're doing?
No, it's all focused on what we're doing. The Hamilton kicked off, I think, at 6 o'clock when we were to play Dundee United, and everybody started. There's not that many people in the stadium at the minute, which is probably a good thing. Everybody was told not to tell the result of the Hamilton game, because we just want to concentrate on ourselves. And I didn't know. I knew who was it? Motherwell were 1-0 up. I didn't know till after our game that Motherwell had won, and obviously that St Mirren had won. I don't think, maybe in a situation of the last game, you might want to know what's going on at the other game, but certainly not with 3 or 4 games to go, what it was the other week.
You came in clearly at a difficult time, and you had that run of games at the start, narrow defeats, just not quite able to pick up the points. But do you feel in recent times the goals are certainly coming? Is it the team looking more like what you had envisaged it could be when you come in the door?
Well, if you look back at the games that we lost every game, the first 3 or 4 games by, or 4 or 5 games by one goal. Dominated Motherwell, dominated Dundee United, only got a point. The only team we didn't dominate in that spell was Rangers. Should have got something at Aberdeen. Rangers were the only team that dominated possession with us. So the performance were good. We didn't get the results because we weren't clinical. weren't ruthless enough in the final third, and ultimately in all those games we give away one soft goal that cost us a point. So I was never too disheartened, with the fact that we hadn't won the first 3 or 4 games, because I've seen enough in the performances to know that we would get better at that top end of the pitch, and we have done. Even though we lost in penalties, over 90 minutes, over 120 minutes with 10 men, and for 30 of that, we didn't lose the game on Monday night until penalty kicks. So we can take a lot of that, and we're in a decent run of performances and results at the minute.
Chris made the point that you have to respect the teams beneath you, and you look at Hamilton in particular, they've got so much experience of being in these battles and navigating a way out of trouble. Does that make it all the more important that you try and take them out of the equation as quickly as possible and not give them any encouragement?
It wouldn't matter who's bottom or who's in the 11th place. We're just going to concentrate on ourselves, because the position we're in, we know if we win all 3, nobody can touch us. We know that if we win 2 out of 3, there's a good chance that we'll be safe as well. So it is. I mean, I'm never one for disrespecting any team. I know what Hamilton are capable of. I know what Ross County are capable of. But we are really just concentrating, what we can affect, and that has to be our performance and our result.
Tommy, you weren't happy with the referee at the cup game on Monday. What's your thoughts on that now, and did you end up contacting the head of refereeing about it?
No, didn't. But no, on it. Said my piece. I think it's pretty obvious. Anybody that's seen it back, it should be pretty obvious as well.
So your feelings haven't changed?
Don't think they should.
Okay. Okay, and
that's throwing you.
Yeah, you
want me to go on.
Right, well, I'll just have to.
You want me to go on another rant there, weren't you? Well, it's not happening. I know you too well.
Yeah. On another matter, the social media blackout this weekend, and obviously we saw last night in David Cox, the incident with him. How much of a problem do you feel is sort of, abuse in football for all reasons is, and is this sort of thing like a blackout the answer to this, or what more can be done?
Ban a lot of it would be the best way. Educate people, and then maybe bring it back in about 20 years' time when people are better educated for it. It's a massive problem. It's a massive problem, not only in football, and I'm talking in general. I'm not talking about on the pitch stuff. I don't know how much on the pitch stuff goes on. The games that I've been involved in when there's no crowds, I haven't heard anything really that you wouldn't class as norm in a competitive sporting arena. But when people have personal abuse, and cross the line, it's wrong. But I don't think. I think the ban highlights it. It'll be the same next weekend when we go back to it. When social media goes back on again, or when the clubs go back to social media, it'll not change. It needs tighter controls. It needs governments to take control of it in terms of how you punish people that have that abuse people, and that's all forms of abuse. But ultimately, it has to be education in the schools, and it'll be a long process. We've had, the knee, we've had standing. Has it made any difference? It probably hasn't. Again, that has to be back to education at a young age. I've worked as a youth development officer, and I've seen go into schools and they'd say things, and the only way that they could have said them or heard them is from their peers, is from their parents. So there has to be good parenting, there has to be better education in schools, and it's going to take, if anybody thinks it's going to just go away in a click of a finger, or the fact that we're banning social media, it won't. I mean, footballers and sports persons probably get the brunt of it, but in all forms of life, other people in normal, you know, are getting bullied in social media. Are getting horrendous abuse. It's just, it has its good parts in life probably, but I think they're outweighed with the bad that it causes. And I'm personally glad that I don't have a Twitter account. It's not something that I would want to have. And sometimes you get called a dinosaur for doing that, but sometimes, you know, how people behaved in the past is probably better than how we're living in the present, because it's certainly a black mark on society, and that's throughout the world at the minute. I think it's not something that has been a positive impact in the world.
Okay, thank you.
Can we just come back to the football? How is Nick Kabamba to see?
No, he's out for the season. Out for the season, Gav. Yeah, we knew that pretty much at the time. Yeah, it's grade 2 hamstring, so that's anywhere between, I think, 4 and 8 weeks, or 4 and 6 weeks.
I mean, you have got options up front, and that's one thing, obviously.
Yeah, George Oakley was excellent the other night. Really good. Unfortunate with 2 chances. One he hits the side net, and one just goes over the bar, and maybe the goalkeeper get a touch. So linked the play up well, done well, worked hard, set up a goal. So he's done well. Danny Whitehold's chomping at the bit. But I think the good news this week, you know, is that Kyle obviously will be fit for the last 2. Definitely for the last 2.
And if you look at, obviously, he scored 3 on Monday. You shared the goals around against Motherwell the last time. You're just creating chances that, you know, players all over the park.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle has been, you could say Kyle's been that final piece in the jigsaw for us in terms of the team. But, you know, the rest of the pieces have stepped up to the mark, and not only provided the chances for Kyle and played well, they've also taken chances well and scored goals, with other people chipping in with goals on a regular basis now.